Samson's story is one of the most captivating narratives in the book of Judges. Many of us know him as the incredibly strong man with long hair, a figure almost larger than life. Yet, if we pause and look closer at the beginning of his story, we discover deep spiritual truths about humanity, about sin, and about the amazing ways God chooses to work. Before we continue, just a reminder to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. By doing so, you'll stay connected and up to date with future content. Now, let's continue delving into Judges chapter 13 verses 1 to 7 and the message God has in store for us. The story starts in Judges chapter 13 verses 1 to 7. Here, we find the nation of Israel once again in a familiar and troubling situation. The text says, "Again the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. So the Lord delivered them into the hands of the Philistines for 40 years. This phrase, "did evil in the eyes of the Lord," is repeated throughout the book of Judges. You'll see it in places like Judges chapter 2 verse 11 and Judges chapter 10 verse 6. It's a refrain that echoes throughout the history of God's people during this period. What's striking is that the things the Israelites were doing did not seem evil to them. In their own eyes, they were making sensible choices, following the customs and idols of the nations around them. But in God's eyes, they were turning away from the only one who could truly help them. This raises a crucial question. What makes sin sin? Is it just a matter of personal opinion, or is there a higher standard? Sin, at its core, is not just about breaking a rule. It's about turning away from God and putting something else in his place. This is the essence of idolatry. Idols are anything we trust or love more than God, and they are incredibly deceitful. They whisper to us and to our society that worshiping them is wise, normal, and even necessary. We may convince ourselves, and our culture may confirm, that we are doing what's right or what's best. But there is only one set of eyes in the universe that truly matter: God's. This truth can be both sobering and liberating. It is sobering because it reminds us that we can be deceived by our own hearts. What feels right to us can, in fact, be evil before God. But it is also liberating because it means we don't have to live for the approval of others or even for our own fleeting opinions. God's perspective is the one that counts. His standards are true and unchanging, and his eyes are filled with both holiness and mercy. As you think about your own life today, ask yourself, where am I tempted to let my own opinions or the opinions of others determine what is right and wrong? How might my life look different if I truly believed that God's eyes are the only ones that count? Perhaps it means standing firm in your faith when others don't understand. Maybe it means confessing something to God that you've tried to justify to yourself. There's freedom in living for an audience of one. Let's continue with the story. In Judges chapter 13 verse 2, we read about a man named Manoah and his wife. They had no children because she was barren. In Judges chapter 13 verse 3, an angel of the Lord appears to her and promises, "You are going to become pregnant and give birth to a son." From a human perspective, this was impossible. Years of waiting and hoping had led to disappointment. Yet now God intervenes and speaks a promise that defies human limitations. The angel then gives specific instructions about the child. He is to be set apart as a Nazirite from birth. According to Numbers chapter 6, verses 1 to 21, the Nazirite vow was a special commitment usually made by an individual for a set period of time, to seek God's help and dedicate themselves to him in a focused way. It involved abstaining from certain things like wine and cutting one's hair, as outward signs of inward devotion. But in Samson's case, this vow was not temporary or voluntary. It was given by God before he was even born, marking Samson for a unique purpose. This miraculous birth is not an isolated event in the Bible. In fact, it's part of a pattern. God often works through situations that seem hopeless. He brought Isaac into the world through Sarah, who was barren. He gave Samuel to Hannah, whose prayers for a child seemed unanswered for years. John the Baptist was born to Elizabeth, who was advanced in years and had given up hope. And, of course, the most miraculous birth of all came over 1,000 years later when Jesus was born to Mary. a virgin making the impossible possible. Why does God work this way? Why does he so often choose the unlikely, the weak, and the overlooked? The answer is found in Romans chapter 4, verse 17, which says that God gives life to the dead and calls things that are not as though they were. When God brings life out of barrenness, when he brings hope out of despair, he makes it clear that salvation is his work alone. No human effort or ingenuity can accomplish what God can do by his power and grace. This truth is meant to encourage and comfort us. Maybe you're facing a situation right now that seems impossible. A broken relationship, a persistent struggle, a dream that feels out of reach. Maybe you feel like you're at the end of your strength, with nothing left to give. Samson's story reminds us that God is not limited by our limitations. He delights to work in ways that we cannot predict or control. When we are weak, he is strong. Let this truth sink into your heart today. God's eyes are the only ones that truly matter, and his power is made perfect in our weakness. You don't have to have it all together for God to use you. In fact, it's often in our moments of greatest need that God's grace shines the brightest. So, as you go about your day, take a moment to reflect. Are there areas where you've been trusting in your own strength, or seeking approval from others instead of God? Are there situations that feel impossible, where you need to be reminded that God can do what no one else can? Surrender these things to him, and ask for the faith to see your life through his eyes. Remember, God chooses the unlikely and works through the impossible. He invites us to trust him, to depend on him, and to live for his glory alone. May you find hope, courage, and freedom today in the God who sees, who knows, and who is able to do far more than we could ever ask or imagine. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to praise our Lord. Type, "Glory to Yahweh," in the comments as a declaration of praise and glory to our Father for his infinite love, mercy, and patience for us. God bless you.